right in between these towns here. And so tracking this to the east, it's Stratford at 6 o'clock, Hart at 6:04, Fitzhugh at 6:19. This has not been a very fast moving storm. This has been a storm that's been, kind of moving about 15, 20 miles per hour. Hasn't exactly been, running all that fast here. And so we've been watching it, obviously with a slower speed. Gives you time to prepare. We've been bringing you all the information you need with this storm. And we've had it surrounded since it was just a little tiny cumulus cloud here down in Grady County. Now here it is doing this. Let me check back in. Let's see here. Let me check back in with Nick. Nick, we saw your tornado there moments ago. The rotation may not look that strong on radar, but it's still tornado warning here now. Nick, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so Damon, we just kind of came out of the town of Pauls Valley. We're on the east side of it, and we're not seeing very much it looked like it dissipated pretty hard. So right now we're just kind of looking, and we're trying to get in the skies, looking and see where we can, if it's still there. But I'm not even seeing a whole lot of rotation in the cloud base anymore.
And that's, we're hoping that this thing can kind of spread out and kind of lose a lot of its oomph with it, but the instability that it still has to work with. This might be hanging around for a bit here. This might be hanging around. Let's show the big picture, by the way, Jonathan. We've been focusing a lot on Oklahoma City and this tornado warning because these have been the only storms that we have out there so far today. But outside of that, we have this storm here, OKC. Our storm died. It's just a little tiny shower there, now moving up into northern Oklahoma County. So that's now basically done. And so that was at one point dropping baseballs. You can see how fast that thing is dissipating. And that tends to happen with these left splits or these northern splits where these hailstorms, they can hang around for a bit and they can drop some big hail. But once they do, then usually that's all that they have left in them. Western Oklahoma, we're still watching for later this afternoon. Isolated storms to develop off the dry line. We have Shane and Amanda watching it closely for y'all out there. So far, there's a couple little blips on the radar all the way out by Shamrock, but that's nothing concerning as of right now. They're still watching it. See a little, what do you see? Is that a cell trying to go up there by Carnegie, Jonathan?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if that's what it was. There is a batch of cumulus clouds out there, so sometimes you can get a little clutter. A lot of it doesn't matter with our radar or the National Weather Service radar. A lot of times we can pick up the wind turbines, and that little blip can look like a wind turbine maybe a little bit, but I actually think that could be a new storm going up, so we'll have to watch that very closely. But the other thing too is, like, when it comes forecast wise, a little bit concerned. So imagine there's a warm front right here, right? Our storm in OKC, as it lifted north of the warm front, outran all the instabilities. So this whole area is pretty stable. The problem we need to watch for later this evening, and that's why Shane and Amanda are kind of pre-positioned, is for storms to fire up in northwestern Oklahoma and then ride that boundary and kind of snowball right into OKC. And that'd have a hail, wind, maybe a flooding threat, and a tornado risk. But this storm here, my concern, Damon, there's nothing obstructing it. Now, it did, in the last couple scans, it trended down on velocity. That is a really good trend. The hook is not as well defined, but it has high shear, high instability. It is south of the warm front, and it's not outrunning the warm front. So it has a big open sector here to continue to cycle and rotate. So we'll have to watch that as it moves across parts of Garvin County and eventually into Pontotoc County towards Ada. So I think it has some time as it's moving east, maybe towards Stratford and Hart, to cycle back up again. And besides it being under a tornado warning storm, there's your new tornado warning that's just extended now for another 45 minutes at least, till about 6:30. Stratford is in the tornado warning, moving right down Highway 19 there. Just north of the highway, watch out for very significant hail core. So besides that tornado risk with this storm, on the north side, this storm is gonna pump out some really big hail. Potentially, still, it's only warned for golf ball right now, but I feel like the way it's going, at times we could get some baseball size hail out of it. So we'll have to watch it very closely. Nick is right there, Storm Command is right there, and we'll walk it all the way down, all the way towards Stratford and even farther, Damon.
And speaking of walking, by the way, if control room, if you can pop up WSI2, because I do want to walk you through the evening here and what we are still watching. And so this is what we have Amanda and Shane currently out in western Oklahoma because we're watching for storms to develop west of Elk City. And watch this timeline right here. 8 o'clock, western Oklahoma. 9:30, it's Woodward Ceiling down by Elk City. And then by 10 o'clock, we're looking from Alva and then Clinton to El Reno. We're right on I-40 at 10 and 11 o'clock. And then this newest data that we see right here shows a massive complex that is coming into El Reno at 11 and then right through OKC between 11 and 12 o'clock, moving east towards Stillwater by 12 and 1 o'clock, and then things are going to be much, much quieter after that. So again, just tracking this line of storms that we have here. We're not done. We're not done with the storms. Okay, let's go back over to the radar right now. And once again, showing you the latest timeline that we have with this storm as it is moving to the east here. And again, extension of the tornado warning. Got an update here. This goes until 6:30. It's Byers at 6:12. And then all the way down towards Roff and towards Pontotoc County here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Right now it is 5:45 on this Saturday afternoon. This is day number 1 of a 3-day severe weather threat here. Pauls Valley, you're good. By Pauls Valley, it was close. It was real close, but here we are. Let's go out Sky 5 right now, by the way. Let's go out. Let's check in with Chase Rutledge. Chase, you're up in the air giving us a unique perspective of this storm that is coming in. Tornado warned. It did drop a tornado for a bit. Chase, how's it look from where you are?
Yeah, Damon, now it's dropping rainbows. So, I mean, it looks beautiful right now. We are on the west side of it. We are trying to make our way south to get around the other, the south end of it, so we can look at what Michael Armstrong is looking at on his from his vantage point. But yeah, Damon, we know that this is putting out a lot of rain, and this is indication of that with this rainbow here. We're just flying. We just flew over Noble, just flew over my parents' place, and now we're headed towards Lexington, right out here in front of us. But we are on our way down to just to the east side of Pauls Valley. Once we get down there, we'll get a better view of what it looks like on the south side of the storm. But yeah, Damon, it's pretty active. Doesn't look like it's done yet.
Now, and hopefully mom and dad came out and said hello to you there as you were flying over your house there, your parents' house down in Noble. They're watching this storm as it's moving to the east here. It's still tornado warned, and it will be tornado warned for another 45 minutes. It did drop a tornado. You saw it live here with Nick and that shot, and then the tornado, it didn't last that long. Looking at the rotation that is up inside of this with this storm, is this now east of I-35? It's still, from a velocity or from a reflectivity standpoint, still shows a hook, still showing some rotation. We're gonna have to watch the rotation as it continues to make its way east of Pauls Valley and eventually making a run into Pontotoc County here, where that warning still remains. But this is the only warning that we have in the state. And it is right here. And let me check in with Storm Command. Michael, one supercell is left. You were on it, you and Nick, and Sky 5 as well. What are you seeing from Storm Command, Michael?
Yeah, right now we're looking back down Highway 19, back to the west. And right now the storm still has some decent structure. It's certainly not anywhere near the strength of it is as it was just a little bit ago. And Damon, it seems like it's kind of anchored and turned to the right even a little bit more now. Seems like it's developing just a little bit further to the south. Kind of what I'd like to do is take a right at the next intersection. And so Nick can continue on straight. We're going to go right here, and we'll kind of divide up a little bit and get some different perspectives on this storm. It's not done, and as we come up on top of the hill, you can see the structure there of the storm. Still a lot of lowered cloud base associated with this supercell. And there's the inflow band coming into it, so we call that sometimes a stinger cloud or a tail cloud that comes into the wall cloud. That's where a lot of the inflow actually comes in. So we're going right here, Kyle, and just making sure. And then we're looking back at the wall cloud back behind us as well. So as of right now, the structure of it, Damon, it's still like if it were to get a little extra boost again, kind of like what it did back near I-35, we might have another tornado come out of it. But as of right now, at this exact second, I'm not seeing that.
And I'm not seeing it either. Now, this storm is big, and the debris cloud that we have, or the cloud debris, not any type of debris from the ground, but is being lofted pretty far up to the north. I mean, we're going well into Potawatomi and Seminole County here. So if you're in Seminole, Bow Legs, south of Shawnee, down towards Maud, and you're getting some rain, that's all attached to this storm right here. Now, the tornadic part of it is actually moving eastbound, and so if you're along I-40, if you're in Shawnee, you're okay with this storm. You're doing all right here. Again, right now, the tornadic part of this cell and where the rotation is going to be making a run more so into Pontotoc County. And so we're going to continue to watch the track closely, see if it begins to move more up to the northeast or if it keeps moving eastbound here. But it still has a bit of inflow. Now, Pauls Valley, we're trimming this tornado warning scan by scan. And so if you are downtown Pauls Valley or south, you're out of the warning now. Wynnewood, you're okay as well. But this is now moving to the east. And so if you're anywhere from Byers, Stratford, Hart, down towards Roth in the next 30 to 45 minutes, fits you as well. The storm is making its way towards you. So we're looking at the winds inside of the storm to see if there's any type of spin that's happening right now. Here's your inflow into this. And definitely the inflow notch is kind of shrinking in size from what we had earlier. Now it's still there, which is why the tornado warning remains in effect until 6:30. Jonathan, though, the inflow into this doesn't look nearly as sharp as what we had even a few moments ago.
Here's the deal. So there's the old hook right here. Looking at some products on the side, I feel like even though the inflow notch is not as big, I feel like what I'm seeing with the velocity side of radar that it actually has maybe a new developing mesocyclone. So that means I think we're seeing a reorganization of the storm. So this is kind of the signature that we've seen, kind of an old signature. Michael's right there, Nick's right there. These guys are pros. They got it covered. Mike's on the nose of the hook. Nick's right there in the clear slot. I mean, they got it covered from the north side and the south side. And so they'll be right there. But my concern is potentially maybe the next couple scans, let's say as we get to about right here, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles west of Stratford, so half the distance, that I think the storm is going to maybe ramp up a little bit. It's going up to 55 to 57,000 feet tall. It is a massive, stout storm. I think the circulation right about here is actually starting to ramp up just a little bit. Not quite seeing it in the velocity field, but it is getting a little bit more reorganized, Damon.
And what I'm looking at on the side is that there's a lot of things that we're doing today that we haven't done at all this year. The instability today, the highest we've had so far this year, and the humidity that we have today is the highest. The dew points that we have out there are extremely high out there. So this storm has everything it needs to still continue as it moves to the east here. And it's going to continue to do that right now at about 20 miles per hour. It's not moving very quickly, but it is making its way towards Stratford and then down towards into Pontotoc County here in the next 45 minutes. Watching this storm as it's moving in the last couple of scans here, because we've now surpassed a peak heating the day. We do have a few more storms that are beginning to go up. Hey, Jonathan, if you can zoom all the way out, and I want you to go down into North Texas, there's a big supercell down here that is moving up to the north. Now, it's still way down. I mean, it's west of Denton. I mean, it's practically on the outskirts of the DFW Metroplex, but it is moving up to the northeast. And so that's a storm that's dropping some big hail as well. Look, it's still a ways away from coming into Oklahoma. At least about an hour and a half or so, but it is moving pretty quickly. And so we are going to have to watch this one as well for those that are going to be down by Sulphur and Davis and Turner Falls. You can see Jonathan has highlights about 50 miles from the Red River. So at that current speed, I think it's moving at 50 miles per hour. Let me just double check that real quick. Again, it's east in between Decatur and Jacksboro, Texas here, but that's a big storm. Golf balls, 70. And it's moving northeast. Actually, it's moving now at 25, so it's still about 2 hours away. Just want to give you all an update. If you're down in Sulphur, Davis, we're watching that storm for you. If that were to still hang on, it could be well after sunset. There's a new tornado warning down towards Atoka, by the way, and so that's now our second tornado warning or tornadic warned storm that we've had so far today. But this storm right here, now east of I-35. It's moving east. It's now east of Pauls Valley. You're okay with that one. Let me go out to Nick. Nick, it looks like the hail core, it passed just north of you. You're in the inflow notch there, Nick. How's it look from where you are?
Yeah, we just got onto a hilltop and we got a really good view of it now. So we're watching as the winds back from the east and the north are kind of pushing back into the actual mezzo. And it's actually like what Jonathan was saying is it had pretty good. It looked pretty good on radar. It actually visually it looks pretty good. It's a large lowering, but I don't see like a bowl shape like it was earlier. It's just a big mezzo that's there lowering that we're watching. I don't see any imminent danger for a tornado right now. I don't see anything that would normally show us that, but it is still there and this thing is still wrapped up.
Yeah, visually, I mean, it does have a bit of that look to it here. So, Nick, you're in a perfect spot. We'll continue to watch that. Control room, I know some hail pictures coming in. I know we've been getting a lot of hail pictures on the way here, but some of these hail reports are pretty good. We're close to fruit size here, a little bit smaller than an orange, but that's some large hail down by Mustang. By the way, that is when the storm was dropping up to baseballs, and so that's one of the larger hailstones that we have there. I'll have to check on what the size between an orange and a baseball, but there you go. All right, here we are watching this, and then Paul's Valley or Sky 5 down there watching this storm as well. And so still rotating a bit. Let me go out to Storm Command here. Michael watching this tornado warning. We just talked to Nick here seconds ago. Didn't see anything on the ground. What are you seeing right now there, Michael?
Yeah, I'm watching an area that really does have some spin to it. This wall cloud is rotating. It's just to our north of our location. You can see where we're at. We're straight east of Paul's Valley and looking back up to the north kind of toward Highway 19. And there's even been a couple of times where I've been watching and it looked like there was just a needle appendage coming out from underneath that. So that whole wall cloud in there right there is spinning. Like if I'm going to center it up, Damon, and you can see the rising motion in my shot. If you look very closely, you might be able to point it out if you're standing on the weather wall there. You can see the rising motion, but it's also turning slowly as well. So this storm still has potential to produce another tornado there with the motion in the wall cloud that's just to our north of where we're at here in Storm Command.
And we can see that there. And so Michael and Nick are watching this, and we've sliced the storm here, giving a bit of a different perspective. Jonathan, I know you love doing this. You get to look at the inside of the storm, how it correlates. It's a 3D look. What stands out to you with this perspective, Jonathan?
Well, I have really high rates of reflectivity. So, we're doing a 3D scan, a 3D slice. So the map is tilted down. We're to the south, looking to the north. And one thing that I see, this little pocket right here, if you see where my cursor is at, see the black shading? So this is high levels of reflectivity. So we have, our base map, here's the ground, we go 10, 20, so up to 30,000 feet. I have very large hail. You just saw the beam come up now to 40,000 feet aloft. This is called a vault, right? And so this storm is so strong, the updraft is right here, right? And there's that slot. If we were to tilt it down, you'd kind of see maybe the hook. There's kind of two different things, but that is inflow and the updraft pushing the hail up to 30 to 40,000 feet. That tells me that the storm is still very robust, and usually when you see that hail getting pushed higher up, that means it's a mesocyclone, the engine is strong, and it's going to start circulating a little bit more. And so even though, again, we can go back down to two-dimensional view and look at it and like, oh, okay, it looks kind of stretched out here a little bit. What I would look for is for this hook, this part to come back around to the southeast to get more eating away or digging away and getting that inflow notch to come in. Again, we were looking higher up in the storm, but these are all now signatures I'm going to start looking for down low, which would be indicative of maybe tornado genesis. So Michael's right there. He's like, I got a wall cloud and spin it. And I see that on radar, and so we really need to watch it. Listen, Stratford, you got to really pay attention here. Maybe it's not producing a tornado right now. Maybe the velocity is not gate to gate right now, but watch what happens as it starts getting closer to Stratford and downstream. A little bit concerned about that, Damon.
Yeah. We are watching that, and definitely good analysis there on the radar and that 3D look. And so that's what we're watching for now. And then what we're also watching as we go into the next couple hours will be additional storms that will develop deep into the Texas Panhandle. It looks like there is some lift that's running through there right now. And so this is kind of like round one, and we'll see round two that's going to come in here much later tonight. Right now, it is almost 6 o'clock on this Saturday afternoon, as we've been telling you all week long. Severe weather, day number one. That's today. Still watching the storm spinning here. Let's show the big picture here, kind of zoom on out and go into the next couple of hours and what we're looking at here. So out across western Oklahoma, I know into the Panhandle, I know you see those little green blips on the radar. They don't look like much, but there is some lift that is running through the Texas Panhandle, and I expect that in the next hour, we'll have thunderstorms that are going to be starting to develop deep out to the west. That's why we have Shane. That is why we have Amanda out there. And so looking into the evening, some of the data that we were just watching earlier showed another round of thunderstorms developing, moving to the east, and making a run down I-40 around 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock tonight. So we're still watching this thunderstorm here, and then that will eventually move well off towards the east. We'll get a bit of a break, and then we'll be able to watch our next round of storms that will come in much later tonight. But for the time being, really in central Oklahoma, we have one storm out there. That's this one that we've been on since it was a little tiny cumulus cloud there in Grady County, and then also tornado warning down by Atoka. Okay, let's go back down into the supercell here that we have down by Pauls Valley, where this tornado warning remains in effect. And let me see, I believe this is the fourth tornado warning that this storm has had with it. But let's see here, it still goes for another 30 minutes. And it is starting to, let's see here, as it's moving to the east and the low level winds are feeding into it, it's still going to continue to have that energy that it needs to remain tornado warned for a while. So this might, even looking into southern Hughes County eventually as well, this might make a run in your direction here. So Stratford 621. We go in towards Union Hill, Fitzhugh here, right around 7 o'clock. That's about 1 hour. These type of storms and the way that they're moving, they don't move that fast. And I don't believe this one actually is moving that quickly either. Let me see if let me see what the update on the speed is here. But it's only moving to the east at 20 miles per hour. So not exactly a very fast moving storm, which the way that this storm actually started and then split, it became the what we call a right split. That's the tornado producing. The north split, that hailstorm that made a run up towards Mustang and into the OKC Metro, that died about 10 minutes ago. That was the hail threat there, and that one runs much faster. So this is a slow moving storm. That means, as you can see, Ada, you're not in the warning yet, but should this make its way towards Ada, which it's right now moving in that direction, Ada, you have a lot of time to be prepared for this storm as it's coming in. Right now, still spinning here, east of Pauls Valley, Paoli, you're done with the storm. This is to your east. You can see it in the eastern sky there, but we are still watching it as it's rotating, moving eastbound. Let me go back out to Storm Command with this storm. Michael, tornado warning remains. How's it look from where you are? All right, we'll get Michael back up there in just a second. Looks like his shot froze. And so we'll get him back up there in a little bit here. You know how cell service can be in that part of the state. So sometimes you have good service and then all of a sudden it disconnects. So still watching this. Again, if you're in Ada, just right now, you're still about at least an hour and a half away, Ada, from this storm coming in your direction here. So we still have a ways to go. That, by the way, that you see out by Elk City, that's coming in from Amanda, and I'll have to get an update from Amanda in just a second. Is that storm that Amanda has in her picture, is that in Texas, or is that this storm that we have here on the east of I-35? Because that thing looks crisp. That is a big one. Again, Amanda's all the way out. She's all the way out here in Elk City, and so what is she? Sabrina, is she looking at the storms in the Panhandle? No? Okay. All right. Hey, Amanda, just curious, we're looking at your picture there. Are you looking east or west? Okay, we'll get Amanda back on in just a second. Again, I'm real curious about what we're looking at there. I know I see a bunch of cumulus clouds that are going up in the Panhandle, and so hey, Amanda, are you looking out into the eastern sky or western sky?
We are looking, that is to the west. East, I'm sorry, Damon. We're just this storm looks like just kind of going up to the southwest of Cordell, and so we were going to kind of head that way and see what we could look at on this storm.
Okay, we see her shot. Okay, so she is looking at. Did she say Cordell? And so all right, that's that storm that Jonathan was mentioning about 10 to 15 minutes ago. On radar, it does not show a whole lot. Let's go back over to the radar here. And so looking down towards Cordell, let's see here. Is that down towards, okay, we're looking in toward the Cordell area, looking all the way down to the southeast. We'll see if there's there may be definitely a storm trying to go up there. I definitely see a lot of lift coming east of Amarillo. And so that, by the way, is going to be our next round of storms that takes off here in a little bit. But for the time being, western Oklahoma, you have a few more hours by dinner time. Right now it's 6 o'clock, probably after dinner time and after sunsets when the storms will begin to make her run back in here. Okay, looks like we have Michael back. That's what she's saying. Let's go back out to, that's it. Wow. I mean, by the way, just a heads up, that on radar is that. Down there, that's what Amanda's reporting. That's wild that it looks like that, but it's just a little tiny blip on the radar. That's one to watch. All right, so that's what Amanda and David are looking at right there. That's incredible, by the way. Okay, let me check back in with Storm Command. Michael, so you're still on this tornado warning here that we have for Garvin County. How's it look where you are?
Well, there's a lot of low-hanging clouds underneath wall cloud. You can see it right there in my shot. It's just that the velocities, the amount of rotation is not super strong right now. It does not look like it's really spinning super fast. But it doesn't mean that it won't produce a tornado. It's just it just has a really ominous look to it, Damon. I mean, look how low everything is. This is back kind of to where a new wall cloud, I believe, is even developing, and look how low that is. So that's looking further to the east as the old one does what we call occludes, which just basically all it means is that it wraps up, it's done, and the new one forms out ahead of it. Well, that's what we mean when we say that. Well, the new one's forming, but there's still some rotation continuing here back a little bit further to the west, and at times the rotation picks up, but overall the magnitude of it is not really super strong yet. But this storm could easily, Damon, it could easily spin up again. We know that it's already produced a tornado, and any time a storm shows its hand by producing a tornado, you never discount that it might do it again.
Great advice there, because if it's already produced a tornado, then the likelihood that it could do it again is certainly there. It's really, the tornado threat is not over until the storm is over. And there is a boundary right now that I see. It's a little tiny one that is running just south of the Canadian River, basically from Pauls Valley and going into Pontotoc County, which is going to probably allow that storm to at least continue for a bit here. The low-level winds are strong enough to where it's going to have the inflow that this storm needs in order for it to not only drop golf ball size hail, and that's what the storm is warned for right now, and that's going to stay on the north side of Stratford. Hopefully it doesn't hit the peach orchards there, but there's a golf ball size hail up inside that storm, and so that could do some damage. And so there's Nick right there watching this area of spin and the large hail that we have right now that is going to be northwest of Stratford. This is east of Pauls Valley. Hail sizes are continuing there. That's golf balls to ping pong ball size hail. Jonathan, watching this storm here as it's moving to the east. By the way, there's a big peach grove here in Stratford, so you hate to see a hailstorm like that damage that. But how's it look from the radar from what you're seeing?
Yeah, about the peach grove, I've heard that there may not be a very good crop this year because of a late freeze that happened. And but also hail for the peach crop will also be just absolutely horrible. Yeah, so the storm, it looks like let's back the radar up here just a little bit. it had that hook, and then it was trying to cycle, and it looks like it's doing a little struggle right now. But again, here's maybe a new hook forming right about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles southwest of Stratford. Stratford's still in the path of the storm. The hail core is very robust. This is a long elongated circle I'm drawing here. That's where you're gonna have your golf ball or ping pong ball size hail. So again, what we're gonna look for is is this area right here gonna kind of notch out or eat away as that drier, it's humid, but dry air gets pulled into the storm, and that's typically a signature that the storm is starting to ramp up with circulation. There was a little area of circulation that was near Nick, but that's getting pulled up into the hail core, so that one's going to you're not going to see anything with it. But I still am really concerned. The storm may not be producing a tornado right now, but it's in an environment where and we're here now at 6 o'clock. One thing that we look for as we go later in the day when it comes to weather forecasting, we talk about shear, wind direction, instability. Is the cap out there? Sometimes the cap can, break and storms take off, like already happened. But sometimes, as air temperatures drop into the evening, sometimes the cap will start suppressing thunderstorms. One thing that I'm concerned about is maybe if this storm can hold out for about another 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours, that low-level jet stream wind would come in and give it more oomph. So I would, it would eventually move outside the KOCO viewing area, but downstream, Ada, towards Stonewall, Tupelo, Colgate, Kiowa, this whole entire area this evening, south McAllister, Stewart, and maybe even parts of southern Hughes County, really have to watch what this storm is capable of producing downstream in a couple of hours. It may not be doing much right now, but in a couple hours it could change and just be a real violent storm.
And definitely, when you mention that there, we can actually see it. Look at this right here. Look at this. This is actually called a flying eagle, where you get that breakaway on the radar signature, and it's almost like the storm is venting. And so when it does that, it has a lot of energy that it can still work with. And so the winds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere are strong enough for this storm to remain. And so see how you get that yellow that goes that way, and then you get the yellow that goes up that way. That's kind of like it looks like eagle wings, and so that indicates a real healthy storm that is still still here. And so, as Jonathan mentioned, this thing is going to have a lot of energy to work with as it moves to the east, and so it's probably going to maintain some form of a tornado warning or rotation within it as it makes its way across Pontotoc County, and then eventually goes in towards probably southern Hughes County, or pretty close to southern Hughes County, or even going into Pittsburgh County there as you go to the east. So, but the current track is that it would, at least at this current path, stay south of Holdenville, and so you'll get some rain up there, but right now, this storm is moving more east, and so it's headed towards, again, Stratford in the next few minutes. We go into center at 6:32, and then Ada right around 7 o'clock, and then it goes in the eastern Pontotoc County after the 7 o'clock hour. Now, it's what's today's date? Let me see here. It's the 17th, and so we're about 1 month and 4 days away from having the longest day of the year. So we have a lot of daylight still ahead of us. So visually, we're going to see this, and so we're doing all right. It's only 6:11 right now. We still have about 2.5, 3 hours of daylight left. So our chasers, there's Nick, there's Michael. They have a clear view into this storm. But what we see from the radar is that this thing is going to last for a while. And by the way, it's all out by itself. Still watching it as it makes its way towards Pontotoc County. Let me go back out to Storm Command here. Michael, watching this cell and this flying eagle look here on the radar. How's it look from where you are? Okay, we'll get Michael back on here in just a second. Looks like we may have lost him there just a moment ago, but we'll come back to him in just a little bit. Okay, moving eastbound. One thing I'm noticing, let's zoom on out here. Let's zoom on out, is that there's a couple boundaries that the storm has actually left across the OKC Metro. You see, actually pull on out here just a second, you can see these little green lines right here. That will be interesting to watch as these storms come in out of the panhandle into western Oklahoma. That may actually allow these storms to flare up when they run up against these. But just know that from a radar perspective right now, we're still kind of seeing a couple things that are going to be really important and helping to understand the threat levels that we have later tonight as our next round of storms comes in out of the Texas panhandle there. So once again, watching those storms closely, additional cells that are trying to go up here down by Corn and Dill City. Amanda's been on those and she's continuing to watch this. Michael, if you're back, Michael, if you can hear me, Michael, how's the storm look from where you are? Okay, we'll get Michael back. We'll get Michael back on there in just a bit there. Again, he's kind of going back in and out. So anyways, bottom line, again, cell service can be hit and miss, and Sabrina's working with our crew. She's doing a wonderful job here, keeping in close contact with them. Let me check in with Nick. Nick in Stratford right now, by the way. Nick, we see the hail core just about, half a mile away from you. How's it look from where you are there, Nick?
Yeah, so Damon, right now we're getting inflow winds into the storm, probably blowing 45 to 50 miles an hour. And I mean, it's just rocking the truck. And I mean, they're coming straight out of they're almost coming straight out of the east to the west. So, man, these winds are definitely, the storm is definitely using the environment that's around it to strengthen itself as much as it can right now, because, I mean, it is unbelievable. The movement in the clouds, like in the base of it is, again, it's unbelievable. We're not seeing a tornado or anything right now, but we are seeing a lot of things that make us go, we got to watch this thing. Back to you.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We do got to watch it. And what we're watching right now is the hail size, which is showing a bit of an increase here just on the northwest side of Stratford. 2-inch size hail. That would be larger than golf balls. Now you're getting up to lime size hail. We're back to talking about fruits. We showed you oranges earlier. Now we're talking about limes. So watching that again as it makes its way towards Ada. For the OKC Metro Central Western Oklahoma, we're in a bit of a lull right now. So if you're going out this Saturday evening, we're doing okay here. You can see, I mean, there's nothing on the radar. Now you're going to go outside and you're going to see these storms well down to your southeast, but we're doing all right. If you are going out this Saturday night and you don't want to be out when the storms are coming in, try to be home by about 10 or 11 o'clock or so. But we're going to continue to watch it. We're still watching what appears to be a bit of a flare-up. And by the way, this right here that is now over Bessie, north of Cordell, is what that is. That's what Amanda is showing right now, east of Elk City. It looks interesting. Tell you what, if we can we just go full with that? I want to see what this thing looks like here. I mean, it's just a little blip on the radar. It looks really impressive visually. It's probably going to continue to grow here, but that thing goes up and then kind of tilts over a bit there. So just something that Amanda has been showing us. And so it's not really dropping anything yet. I mean, from a radar standpoint, all I see here is just a little bit of light green on the radar. So we'll see if we start getting some yellow returns on there. Maybe that's certainly something that's a storm that's trying to go up. So time will tell. We're going to be watching that one. It's all out by itself. And these isolated supercells, whenever they go up, they certainly do have our attention. We have a very wide open, what I would just call a plume of humid air. I mean, it is so muggy out here south of I-40, so we can see these storms kind of pop up anywhere. Also beginning to see our first brighter returns there deep into the panhandle, well west of Shamrock, but those are going to be the next line of storms that will come in for Elk City, Visay, Woodward, and stand by because those storms will come up to the metro here much later tonight. So we're kind of watching that tornado warning and that storm there slide to the east and then watching additional storms go up. Let's go back down to our tornado warning that remains. And I believe, let me just get an update, see if anything has gone up here in the last, let's see, what is this? I got these warnings go. This one goes for another 13 minutes. Given the way that it's been looking on radar, anticipate that at least the warning is probably a warning of some sort is going to be extended well into Pontotoc County. Big hail with this one still remains on the north side of Stratford. It's only moving about 15, 20 miles per hour, not very fast. We can definitely see that spin right on top of Stratford, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, this storm is still This one was still a big one for sure, all out by itself. Let's see, Michael's giving us a bit of, Michael's right up inside the, where the inflow notch is coming in here. Let me go out to Storm Command. Michael, how's the storm look from where you are?
Damon, it's still very well organized. I mean, at times it's got a very, very low cloud base. You got a lot of little tentacles that are hanging out of the base of the storm as well. Now, nothing touching down right now. That's the key. But it does have quite a structure to it, and it seems like it's recycled a little bit. I mean, the hail sizes have really come up over Stratford. I mean, look at it. I mean, it is a massive, massive storm. There's a huge lowered area, and I mean, it's a gigantic supercell. The whole thing is spinning.
It really is, and with it all out by itself and the humidity and the dew points here, I know you don't hear us really talk a lot about dew points a whole lot. Usually it's a form of trying to find where the dry line is, where the muggy air is, and where it's not. But imagine this, take the world's largest water balloon, drop it down right on top of, say, we'll go to Ada here. The temperature would get down to 75 degrees. That's as cold as it would get. So that right there shows we have a very moist atmosphere here. And that means that these storms, they need that humidity. That humidity has instability in it. And this thing may last for a while, by the way. It may not drop a tornado all the way down, but it may be tornado warned for a while. You know, there was a storm yesterday that started in Missouri. It was dropping tornadoes from Missouri all the way into Kentucky. It lasted for over 500 miles. That's what some of these isolated supercells can do. They can last for a really long time here. And so we hope this one doesn't, but it's May. I mean, this is the peak of our severe weather season right now. And so these storms can definitely do it. And what we're looking at here, tracking this to the east, a hail core with this, and this tornado warning that goes until 6:30. Look at all these little lowerings with it too, by the way. It's going across Pontotoc County. Pontotoc County, it feels like you've had quite a few tornado warnings this year, and they continue once again. So it's, let's see here, center at 6:32, Ada at 7:05. And then we go into Union Valley there at 7:30. Jonathan, definitely watching this storm. It's all out by itself. It's probably going to hang around for a little bit. I know Pontotoc County would love to get rid of this thing as fast as possible. Not a very fast-moving storm, though.
It's not moving fast. Nick and Michael, pay close attention. Like Michael had said, I think the storm is going through a cycle right now. We can run the radar back here a little bit. You know, if you look to here, it's time on that. That was at about 6:07. So at 6:07, the storm was really stretched out, right? Really stretched out. Doesn't look like much. There was maybe a little old hook right here, a little ball, but it's just very linear. So that was that again, coming up at about 6:07 at 6:20. Now I'm going to pull the radar forward in time, and if you look what's going on right now, we're getting that indentation right over Stratford. That is very humid, but it's dry air. It's not precipitation, it's dry air, and that inflow is pulling into it. Like you heard Nick say before, he had winds at like 50 miles an hour. So imagine the storm goes up over 50,000 feet. It's like a vacuum, right? So it's got to draw in the heat, the inflow, before it goes into the updraft. And they can be, our chasers can be in front of that, and they can just feel that warm air being blown into the storm, and then it goes up and it eats away what we call that inflow notch right here. And so I'd be concerned that area circulation, we're gonna get real specific, is about 1 mile south of Stratford, but I would say it's over Stratford. So I think we're seeing a slight upward tick, maybe not in the velocity part or the Doppler radar part of it. Well, I said that. The circulation right there is there's a little bit stronger, and not quite gate to gate, but I would say it's the area of circulation is now 2 miles east of Stratford, and it looks like about 1 mile south of State Highway 19, that'd be County Road 1540. So this whole area right here is starting to circulate a little bit more, and we can see that reflected in the reflectivity, that inflow notch. So Michael's there, Nick is there, just kind of trending up just a little bit. I'm not saying imminent, like in the next minute, but let's watch it for the next 5 to 10.
Yeah, we certainly will be, and we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this one, all the storms. And so, by the way, let's show the big picture, because if you're in southern Oklahoma down by Sulphur and Davis, a little while ago we were talking about the big cluster storms down in the North Texas that were making a run up to the northeast. They're still there, and so if you're anywhere from Ardmore, Turner Falls, here's Sulphur. These are all moving up to the north. Now, these are on the north side of the DFW Metroplex, but they are big, by the way, and they will likely come into Oklahoma. Now, what we're going to have to watch is whether or not they make it more towards like Kingston and Texoma and go into southeastern Oklahoma, or if they end up moving up to the north and come up towards their Sulphur, those Turner Falls, there's Ardmore, and if they keep coming up to the north. So they're not moving very quickly. As you can see, Jonathan there, putting a storm speed at about 25 miles per hour. So it's going to take about an hour. That's about 7:30 or so before they even cross or come into the, or about an hour or so before they come into Oklahoma. But at that current track here, they would come up towards our southern viewing area. And so if you're in Sulphur, Davis, even down to the, southern Oklahoma, if you're watching this right now on the app down by Ardmore, these storms have winds and some really big hail. And let's check in with Nick Smith here. Nick, you're on our tornado warning and watching it closely. What are you seeing there, Nick?
Yeah, so we are just getting to center here on Highway 19, and we just noticed that there's a little place over here that looks like it has like a little inflow area that had a wall cloud on it. So we're just kind of watching it. It's a little lowering. It's kind of random, but we are right here with it. We are taking hail. This thing is actually diving south just a little bit, and we've had to kind of stay out in front of it because it's most of Highway 19 from Center to Stratford is getting hail at this point. And we took a couple of, probably quarters, maybe getting close to golf ball. But nothing ginormous, but that's enough to do damage. So we're definitely just going to kind of stay with the thing, try to stay out in front of it, and we'll let you know what we see. Back to you.
Yeah, in the last couple of scans, we've been seeing that hail, that black on the radar that's been getting, more and more tense, more vibrant, easier to see. And so that would certainly indicate definitely some larger hail that is growing up inside of this storm. So yeah, this thing is getting bigger and bigger as here's the Canadian River, by the way, and this is Pontotoc County. So we're going to watch it as it goes across Pontotoc County. Hopefully it doesn't come in towards Hughes County here. Hopefully it would just fizzle out, but I don't think this is going to be one that fizzles out anytime soon. If anything, it's going in the other direction now. It's getting stronger and stronger. And so this tornado warning is set to go for another 5 minutes. We'll probably see another one, some type of warning reissued as it continues to move to the east here. So that's the latest with that storm right there. And we're kind of in an in-between period right now. If you're watching in central Oklahoma, you're outside, you're like, hey, the weather's quiet. We're not finding anything out here. Can we go outside? Yeah, you're fine. You're doing all right. But we are watching some additional storms trying to develop here. This is what Amanda has been showing us here for a while. Starting to see a little bit of a brighter core in this. Does it have any lightning in it? No, it doesn't have any lightning in it. This thing has been going slow, but it is starting to come up here. So we're going to be watching that one, and then we're going to watch additional storms that are going to develop off of the out in the Texas Panhandle. They're already doing it right now. That will be coming in here pretty late tonight here. Actually, if we can, because I understand, look, it's Saturday night, you're going out, there's high school graduation parties that are going on, everything. Control room, if we can you go over to WSI 2 here, and I want to walk you through the rest of the evening and what we are watching with our newest storm timeline. And so here we are at about 8 o'clock. Again, at 8 o'clock, here's the latest that we see here. We have these storms down in southeastern Oklahoma. Let's see how this kind of wants to go at about 10 o'clock there. Looks like an isolated cell down by Clinton towards Watonga by 11 o'clock, and then 12 o'clock. Oh my goodness, look where that complex comes right into the metro here. This is midnight. That is midnight there. And that looks like a pretty intense storm, and it looks like the intensity comes down a little bit once it moves east of I-35 by 1 and 2 o'clock. That will definitely be something interesting to watch as we go into the evening here. It's just how this storm and this next batch of storms evolves. Let's go back over to the radar right now, and we're still working with this one storm right now that has been dropping some pretty large hail in it. And so there's Nick. And by the way, we're east of Stratford here. And so the largest hail looks like it kind of ramped up right on top of Stratford or just north of Stratford. Looks like that black on the radar came down, but it's still there. Brand new tornado warning, by the way, just issued here just seconds ago. So that goes all the way out until 7:15. Again, 7:15 with this. Let me go out to Storm Command. Michael, looks like the hail sizes inside the storm are definitely ramping up again. How's it look from where you are?
Yeah, Damon, right now we're continuing to watch the storm. I mean, it's got...
All right.
It's kind of... It seems like it's below a little bit, but we talked about how it's kind of in a reorganization stage, and you can see just a lot of lowerings here across this area. I mean, it's got a very well-developed wall cloud. Now, I know it's kind of ragged at times, but, I mean, as I just scan across the sky, I mean, look at it. Look at the edge of the wall cloud. I mean, it's very, very well-developed. The cloud motion is not super strong. When we were back to the west of I-35, west of Pauls Valley, I had a lot more violent motion in the cloud base and even right near ground level right before that tornado developed. If you remember, I was talking about how just the winds were just crazy and how the rain curtains were wrapping. Well, the motion in the clouds are a little bit slower, but even within there, you see little funnels develop at times. I'm going to zoom in on one, and it's gone just like that. So, I mean, they kind of spin and then they go away, but then all of a sudden, sometimes you can get one that will tighten up and go ahead and extend all the way to the ground. So this storm continues to be tornado warned, and I don't know. I mean, this takes it all the way into Ada, and do I have to say anything about Ada at this point? I mean, they've already had 2 tornadoes on different days in Ada, and that's the last thing that they want to hear is that they're under a tornado warning again, but that is the case.
It absolutely is a case, and it certainly does feel like Ada, Pontotoc County has had quite a bit of it. By the way, a brand new warning is going to be issued for these hailers that are coming out of Texas, by the way, that will come into Oklahoma. So this will be another complex to watch as we go into the next couple of hours, and we're going to watch it for you. And if you're anywhere from Ardmore to Sulphur, Davis, Turner Falls, these are moving up to the northeast. And so the track of these, and by the way, that's a much larger complex of storms there, would come up, somewhere probably down by the Arbuckles. And so here we go. Watching this storm here, watching these storms there down in Texas that are moving up I-35, getting ready to cross into Oklahoma. These are hailers, and they've had about 70-mile-an-hour winds inside of them. Gosh, look at that big hailstone there. I mean, that big hail core there. These storms they've had quite a bit of hail, by the way, them down in Texas. So just a heads up, if you're down in Turner Falls, it's a weekend. This next complex and this next line here, I think it's moving at about 25 miles per hour, would come up into our southern counties here, probably in the next 2 hours, I believe. My apologies, moving at 45 miles per hour. So they have picked up some speed here. So right now the warnings go up to the Red River, but I expect probably in the next minute or two, there will be a new warning that's going to be, oh, there it is right there. Okay, golf balls with this. So heads up, Sulphur, you're not in a warning yet. Davis, you're not in a warning yet. Turner Falls, you're not in a warning yet. But these storms are moving northbound and they're coming your way here. So, and they are warned for golf balls. So, okay, we'll come back to this in a little bit. Let's go back up to our tornado warning that we have currently right now. And so, and for that storm that is going to be up in Pontotoc County right now, these storms are going to be, this storm has been warned for a while. It's been going for a bit here, and so it's still warned. It's got a brand new warning on it until 7:15, and that does include Ada. Ada, you are in this now. If you're watching us right now, there are lots of little inflow notches that are kind of running up into this here. So you're looking at it on the left-hand side, Storm Command there, Nick there. You're gonna see a bunch of little lowered areas, and you heard Michael mention not that long ago that you see a little funnel and then it go away. and see another funnel, and it would go away. This storm has already dropped a tornado, and a sizable tornado too, by the way. Nick had it there live on KOCO 5 when it was right around I-35 towards Pauls Valley. And so now it is making its way back across Pontotoc County. It's also warned for some big hail too, by the way. That hail core is now moving east of Stratford. So if you're in Wynnewood or Pauls Valley or Paola, you're looking into the eastern sky. You don't need to worry about this storm. This thing is moving away from you. Looks like a couple inflow notches into this. We'll keep the threat for hail. Let me double check here. At the last check, I think this thing was dropping golf balls or warned for golf balls. Now it's $half. So we lowered the hail size just a little bit from the last warning that we had here, but it's still there. So right now, Stratford, if you're in Ada, this one is, I know, oh my goodness, Ada, it feels personal. I know you've had quite a few storms. You had tornado warnings there in March, April. Now here we are in May, and watching this storm that's coming up towards you. I know we're still trying. Some of us haven't even been able to clean up from the first storm that came in March, and then now here we are, April and into May, still watching this storm making a run into town. Let me go back out to Storm Command here. Michael watching this is new warning that was just issued, goes until 7:15. That's another 45 minutes. How's it look visually there, Michael?
Well, visually, it's just, I mean, it's hard to really put into perspective how big the storm is. I mean, it is so large. It has such a I don't know, what we call a front flank. I mean, Damon, it extends from west of Ada all the way to Holdenville. One storm. It's crazy how big it is. And so we're the one thing it's not really doing is having a real strong focused area of like violent rotation where it's producing a tornado. But it just so big that at some point you think, man, is this going to do it again? Because we know it's already produced that one tornado that was near I-35 earlier. But as of right now, I mean, I think the thing that stands out to me is just how massive the storm is. I mean, it's like 2 counties wide. It's huge.
Not only is it huge, Michael, but it is really tall, by the way. I was looking at some radars down in central Texas, and when radars down in central Texas can see our storms all the way up here in Oklahoma, that's a really tall storm. And so the taller the storm, usually the more severe it is. And this has been doing it. Again, it started out as a tiny little cumulus cloud there in southern Grady County. It quickly shot up. It was tornado warned. It split. Hailstorm went up towards the OKC Metro. That thing died. And then this storm is still ongoing, and it is moving slowly to the east here. These slow moving storms, they can take a long time to come in, so you have plenty of time to prepare for this. Ada, right now, it's not coming into town until 7:03. That still gives you about 30 minutes with this storm to come in here. Let me double check here the speed and see here. I know at one point it's about 20 miles per hour. It's still moving at about 20 miles per hour, and it's got ping pong ball size hail up inside of it. That's east of Stratford. So there's Oil Center. Here's Union Hill, and then Ada, right there. That's where Nick is, on the outskirts of Ada, watching the storm move to the east, and it's moving across northern Pontotoc County. Here's a Canadian river, and so there's Kanawha, there's Sasakwa. You're getting the heavy rain coming down right now. You'll take the rain for sure, and the hail core, though, looks like it's primarily staying south of the Canadian River, continuing to move to the east here. Let me check in with Nick Smith on the west side of Ada. Nick, watching the storm as it's moving in. How's it look right now, Nick?
Yeah, Damon. So there was a little area where they've got like some sand on the west side of Ada, and it hit. There's some winds that hit it, and I mean there was dust that just blew up, probably a couple hundred feet in the air, and just across the road. I mean it was crazy. We're getting being pulled air out right now. There's a little bit of outflow coming out of the storm right now. So this is a good sign, I think, but. Man, we're definitely Ada's about to really get a good-sized storm coming through, just with hail and wind and rain as of right now. Now, back to you.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, and we see you all out there watching this storm, and so got a good look on it. And so there's Nick. there's Storm Command. It's real windy with this thing as it's coming in. Look at Sky 5, by the way, giving you a bit of a different perspective of the storm from the back end. And so this storm is moving across Pontotoc County, but looking at Sky 5 right now up in the air, you heard Chase mention earlier this thing was dropping rainbows, and that's exactly what it's doing right here. And so there it is. Hey, that's Oklahoma in the springtime. And so you get tornado warnings and you get rainbows as well. So Roy G. Biv alert with that one right there. Okay, moving to the east. There's Nick, there's Storm Command, and we're focusing not only on this storm, but also additional storms that will be coming out later this evening. So we're kind of, we have 2 rounds. This is round number 1, and now we have a second round that's beginning to take off, or maybe 2 or 3 rounds, depending on how you look at it. But we got that warning down by Ardmore, and then we have other storms out to the west. Jonathan, looking at the big picture right now, what are you seeing right now? I mean, the big picture shows storms all over the place, but what stands out to you right now, Jonathan?
Well, we're going to have to watch 2 areas. One is going to be the storms coming out of North Texas. That's going to be a problem for southern Oklahoma. So Sulphur and Davis, you have plenty of time before these come up. Now, these have congealed into like a messy complex. I'd call it multicellular. It could reorganize. Maybe there's one robust like updraft and maybe has a tornado risk, and maybe we see something weird happen with these storms. But again, as they lift to the north and eventually get Sulphur Davis, you have like, I don't know, about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe before that storm would come to you, but it'd be a prolific hail maker. So that's kind of zone number 1 that we're going to watch. Now, would those storms come all the way like in a hook left and coming into OKC? No, not at all. The jet stream should drive them more to the northeast. Okay, so they should stay south of OKC. The next area that I'm kind of watching here is out west, and that cell near Weatherford right here, it's not real tall yet. I mean, Amanda's watching it. Echo tops haven't popped quite yet to over. I think the cap is kind of strong right here, and this cell's suppressed, but this would be a storm to watch. This one would go up. It's in what we call the warm sector, so it has a lot of instability to work with. When it breaks the cap, so what is a cap? The cap is warm air loft that suppresses thunderstorm development, and it's good and it's bad. If the cap holds the entire time, that means no storms, and we're good to go. But when you have a strong cap, it holds all that heat and humidity, and if the cap breaks, now we have an explosive updraft, and that storm would be really violent, and it would go up really quick. If this storm right here breaks through, I would imagine it would go severe in a very short amount of time, like in about 15 to 20 minutes. It could potentially be even tornadic in about 30 to 45 minutes. So that's one area that we're watching. The next area that we're watching, which a lot of the high-res forecast models say, are these storms way out in the Texas Panhandle. And these are expected to go up, drift to the northeast, and then merge into a complex and roll across western Oklahoma and march towards OKC, but that may not be for about another 4 or 5 hours, maybe not till about midnight. So there's multiple areas that we're watching right now. Again, the Eta storm is still tornado warned. It's still very robust, and Nick and Michael are on it. What we need to watch is that as it moves to the east, though, Damon, technically right now, Pontotoc County is not our designated market, but as this storm, if it keeps moving to the east, it would hit southern Hughes County. So like Gertie, Stewart, Calvin would have to watch. But kind of the trend here is not moving exactly due east, it's kind of moving east-southeast. If that was a line, I'd imagine that hail core and that area rotation would go. So there's a lot of moving targets right now. I'm grateful, though, we don't have, an imminent threat coming into central Oklahoma. Yeah, and that is true. And
so, by the way, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning was also issued for this storm, kind of to account for not only the circulation, but also there's a bit of a hail core that's on the north side. Just looking at some radar software over here, this thing is producing some pretty strong winds here. You can see they're really ramping up. And also, I'm pinging close to 3-inch size hailstones up inside of this thing. So that would be getting larger than baseballs. This thing is really ramping up, by the way, probably in the worst spot because Eta, I know it feels like we've had a lot of it this year, but there is going to be some pretty large hail with this storm. as it's moving to the east. And so we're still hanging on to quite a bit of instability with this cell. And right now at 6:41 on the Saturday evening, as this is moving to the east, this is an atmosphere that still has a lot of instability still hanging around for this thing to continue. So it has been ramping up just on the west side of Ada. Ada, that's where Nick is. Storm command there, Mike, he's going to be down by Roth. And so, but the current track right now is that this is kind of getting pushed down to the southeast. And so we're going to hope that it continues to go in this direction and can just kind of, fizzle out here. But right now it's Fitzhugh at 6:57 and Ada as well. And then it's going to make a run down towards southeastern Oklahoma before right around 7:30 and 8:30 there. So that current track, though, unfortunate for Ada, is that it's gonna come right into Ada with some big hail. You can see our radar right here. I've got 3-inch size hail. I'm seeing it over there as well, and probably winds that are going to be pushing about 70 miles per hour. That's a big deal. Let me check in with Michael, and then we'll go out to Nick. Michael, I know you're looking up to the north. You see one storm to the north of you, another storm down to your south. What stands out to you right now in Storm Command there, Michael?
Well, mainly, I just talked to Nick a moment ago on the bridge, and one of the things that he offered was that he's getting outflow from underneath the storm. That's really good from cutting it off from the potential for a tornado, at least in the short term. It doesn't mean they'll stay that way forever, but you can see how powerful the updraft is here. I mean, it's just very, look at the top of the storm. It's so crisp, it's just It's such a massive storm. Down below it, the lower levels are a little bit chaotic right now with the north winds coming out from underneath them. And so it doesn't mean that it's not going to be severe and it won't produce hail and wind. And I'm glad you've been pointing that out. But it may lower the tornado potential here for a little while. I know Nick's right there in Ada and keeping an eye on it, so he's a little bit closer to where it's at. Damon, we're going to transition. We're going to get some fuel here, and we're going to be headed down towards Sulphur for this next storm that is coming up out of Texas, because it looks pretty rough as well. Not necessarily a supercell, but a complex could have some strong winds and some hail with those.
And that has certainly had my attention as well. That's coming in. So this is the Ada storm right here. And so Michael giving you a bit of a different perspective just to show you what it looks like from outside the storm. We can be inside the storm. Our chasers always get up inside the storm here and you get one look, but then you get a different look. By the way, probably a strong pocket of winds right coming into Ada right now. Let me check in with Nick. Nick, watching what appear to be some pretty strong winds coming into town right now. Nick, what are you seeing?
Okay.
Winds coming into town right now. Nick, how strong are the winds where you are there?
Yeah, so Damon, we just pulled off because the hail was starting to come down and the winds were starting to come into the east side of Ada. And I'm going to guess that the winds were blowing probably 45, maybe 50 miles an hour right now. But there is some stronger ones I know that are coming, and it looks like the hail's about to come in here in just a few minutes. And I mean, I see some little maybe dimes on the ground, nickels on the ground, but there's more hail coming in, and this wind is actually picking up right now, Damon.
Yeah, and looking at your picture there, by the way, I mean, we can see, look at the winds, look at the streaks just going across a parking lot right here. This storm is going to have some really strong winds coming into Ada as we speak, and so it's going to have strong winds. Hail core right now is going to be the pink that we have here, and that's moving it's down to the southeast as well. So Ada, you're getting it again. The storm is tornado warned, but the good news is what Nick has been reporting is that the tornado risk may not be as high as what we saw earlier. Still, though, one we got to watch for sure. But he was telling us that the storm was outflowed. That means strong winds coming out of the storm. And so when that happens, you can get some wind damage in here. Let me go back out to Nick here. I know, Nick, it's been like 30 seconds since we last spoke, but are the winds still the same? They getting stronger? What are you seeing there, Nick?
Yeah, they actually, as you said, I'm going to come back out to me. We started getting stronger gusts, probably closer to 55. But it's not horrible right now. But I know there's a lot of the storm that still has not come in. This is just the front side of it, just the front edge of it. But when it starts to get the hail in here with it, it's going to get nasty.
It certainly will, and we are getting some reports here just seconds ago of at least pea-size hail in downtown Ada. Now, the hail core looks like it's going to be on the north side of Ada. There's Nick, by the way, so there's the winds. That's that red pixel right there. Here's your hail. Your probably ping pong ball size hail is going to be on the north side of Ada, and that's dropping down to the east-southeast here. So Ada, the storm, it's a slow-moving storm, so it's going to be hanging around for a little bit here, Ada. It's not going to hang around all night, but it is with us as we speak. And so Nick, he is right there in it, watching the winds here from his stream there in the bottom left-hand side. We are watching a couple areas right now. Again, this storm that's going to be in Pontotoc County right now, and it looks like the worst of the storm is about to slide into the east side of this tornado warning polygon. We had a severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, polygon issued surrounding that for this complex here. So we'll see if the tornado warning is going to be extended or not, but we are watching it, and then also watching these storms that are now coming up from Thackerville towards Marietta. Here's a hail core with this one, by the way, and that warning for Ardmore is going to be for these storms that are coming out of Texas. And so let's see here. That's moving up to northeast. It may, if it keeps going that route, we may see another warning issue that would go from Kingston, Medill, Tishmingo. But if you're in Sulphur, Davis, Turner Falls, down by Mill Creek, this is probably moving more up to the northeast. So we'll see if that thing can hang on and make it deep into Oklahoma if it fizzles out. And then we're going out to the west. And so Miami, Texas there, watching those storms going up. I know we've been talking to Nick and Michael a lot today, as well as Buck and Sky 5. But Shane and Amanda have been out in western Oklahoma waiting for these storms to come out of the panhandle. And this is going to be another round that will come in here much, much later into the evening, well after 10 and 11 o'clock. And if they were to impact the OKC Metro, would not do it until probably looking at about the midnight time frame or so. Jonathan, we had a little cell that was trying to go up by Weatherford. Is that thing fizzling?
I think the cap's pretty strong because there was a couple targets. I'm like, there it goes. And I went over to the spring. I'm like, look for lightning. And that was at about 6:32. And then you can clearly see there's no more yellows with it. So there's not a lot of reflectivity coming out of the storm. So that's good. It means the cap is pretty strong and that storm just couldn't break through, and disaster averted for the Weatherford, Thomas, Fay, Watonga area, because again, if that storm would have broken through, would have been a very strong, robust storm, but it doesn't look like it did that. So that, again, look back, right when it just west of Corn, right there, here we go, and then just kind of fell apart. So that's a really good trend. Next, if that doesn't pulse up here, and based on what I'm seeing, I don't think it will. And we can talk to Amanda. She can clearly look at the tops of the storms and tell if they're crisp or fuzzy, or if they're going up or they're going down. But it would be maybe over here. But even the storms out in Texas, yeah, they're getting more lightning with them. They're ramping up for sure. And eventually these would go up, come into northwestern Oklahoma, and drop down into OKC based on the flow.
Yeah, and as I look over here at what we have later in the evening, those storms that are going up, they almost kind of take a beeline right into the OKC Metro. Oh my goodness, around midnight, 11 o'clock, midnight. So if you're going out tonight, the weather looks like it should be all right up until around 11 o'clock midnight in Oklahoma City, but a little bit earlier as you go farther out into western Oklahoma. Let me check back in with Nick Smith here in Ada. Nick, watching this storm here, it's now basically right on top of Ada. How's it look where you are there, Nick?
Yeah, so we've been getting, since we've talked, torrential downpours. I mean, look at that car that's going through the shot right now. I mean, that's going down the street. That's not like a curb or anything. There's not curbs on that road itself. It's just water going down the road. We're starting to get pea-size hail now, and the hail is just now starting to come in, and we're getting stronger winds than we were getting earlier. And so we're about to get some wind-driven hail. Let me show you what. Oh gosh, here we go. Yep, here it comes. Wow. Wind is just ripping through here right now, Damon.
How strong are those winds there, Nick?
I mean, they've got to be 65, maybe 70 miles an hour. I mean, it's hard to see beyond those trees right there. And I mean, that's not but any more than probably 50 yards just to where those trees are.
I bet this has cooled down the air, by the way. I bet it probably feels much, much cooler right now with the rain in here. Probably, the mid-70s, since that's where the dew points are. But that's an intense storm that is on top of Ada right now. The tornado warning that we have actually goes until 7:15. And, it's no longer in effect. It just fell off the radar. So tornado warning no longer in effect. The severe thunderstorm warning surrounds that. So that tornado warning was replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning. And so it's moving into Ada, Union Valley, moving now into eastern parts of Pontotoc County. We're still going to watch it for those in southern Hughes County here. You are getting some rain on the north side of it. Sasakwa all the way up towards Holdenville, getting some rain out of that, but that's not severe. And this storm is kind of jogging to the east and dropping down to the southeast. And so this warning goes for about another 20 minutes. That's moving down to the east. There's a little cell there, by the way, down by Hickory that has popped up, and then a big complex that's going to be down coming out of Texas. Speaking of Texas, let me check in with Storm Command there. Michael, you're tracking these storms that are coming into Oklahoma. We were calling these Texas hailers earlier. Now they're becoming Oklahoma hailers as they're moving north of the Red River. Michael, what do you think from Storm Command? Michael back on here in just a little bit. He's got his camera pointed up. We've got some dark clouds there down in southern Oklahoma. Let's go back over to the radar here, and we'll get Michael back on here when he is ready. But watching this storm coming in here, let's see here. We got Tyler at 7:35. Let's go into Mansville there at 7:45 with that storm. Okay, big hailstorm. Right now it's going to come pretty close to Doherty, Turner Falls, Davis, and Sulphur. Let me go back up to Nick in Ada. Nick, what's happening here?
Yeah, so Damon, sorry, we're trying to reposition. We pulled into a place, but I mean, we're getting flash flooding here in Ada. I mean, just so the National Weather Service knows, I'm sure they can see the amount of the roads that's flowing through Ada. Just rain and water just coming all down this, washing things down. I mean, it's crazy how much water is going right across the road right here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we can definitely see that there. That's a lot of water that's coming down. And I know it's been about 2 weeks since we picked up a lot of rain, but our soil is still pretty saturated. And so you get rain that heavy coming down. That's where Nick is right now in Ada. And just look at all that water that he's just showing right now. I mean, that is just coming down into that street there. And those cars, looks like a trash can there. They're taking off. By the way, let's put his picture back up there on the left-hand side so we can see it there. But just look at all that water. That is, well, look at those cars right now that are just coming through. If we can, let's get his picture back up there on the left-hand side. We can show it. But that's just, look at those cars just going through that water. I got a trash can. Okay, there we go. This is the picture there from Nick on the left-hand side. Looks like a trash can inside the float down the road there. But that's probably an impressive 1 inch of rain that came down here pretty quickly. By the way, tornado warning no longer in effect with this storm. And the worst of the storm for Ada is now moving out of town and moving to the east and down into the southeast there. Definitely some strong winds that are going to be with this. Some strong outbound winds that are coming out, really ramping up there as you go east of Ada and going into eastern parts of Pontotoc County. So tracking that storm, that's going to keep moving down and out of the KOCO 5 viewing area. Let's go back. If Michael is available, I want to check in with Michael here in just a second. Michael, watching these storms that are coming now into southern Oklahoma. You have a lot of technology there in Storm Command. Michael, what stands out to you about these storms that are popping up down to your south and then that big complex now coming north of the Red River, Michael?
Yeah, this is something that we had been seeing in the data, that there would be 2 different areas of risk today, Damon. One would be southern Oklahoma, and especially the area that's really starting to get active now with a complex coming out of North Texas. And it's really kind of wild to watch the forecast on this, because a lot of times when that happens, you don't tend to see storms flare up further to the north and west. But yet we have that storm that Shane and Amanda are ready to cover that's moving in out of the Texas Panhandle toward northwestern Oklahoma. So you really have a lot going on right now in two different areas of the state. That's why we have our team, right? That's why it's me, it's Nick, it's Sky 5, it's Shane, it's Amanda. We're all out here to cover all the threats no matter where they are in the state. That's because we care. We care about Oklahomans. That's what we're trying to do. So we're in the process right now. I'm scanning back to the north toward that Ada storm. It's still a huge storm. We talked about earlier how big the storm is. But in the meantime, we're working our way down towards Sulphur. Right now, I don't see anything that stands out to me other than it's just a huge complex that's going to be moving in toward Tishomingo and Sulphur. And I don't know. We'll see if it makes it all the way to Sulphur. It may stay a little bit further south and east, but on the trajectory that it's on, it is moving up to the north, and this storm does have a history of producing hail. It looks like hail almost, let's see, it's definitely over quarter size. Well, it's 1 1/4 inch diameter hail that's down in Texas that's moving up toward Marietta and up here into the southern parts of our viewing area from the Oklahoma City television market. So we're going to continue to watch this complex of storms that's moving through. I know Nick's over in Ada and just tremendous rainfall there.
Speaking of Nick's shot, let's go full with Nick's picture here. There's been a lot of rain that's been coming down in Ada, and so we'll get Nick's shot. Look at all this. Lots of things floating here. Let me go back out to Nick here real quick. Nick, what's happening here in Ada?
Yeah, Damon. So we're just, there's so much water that's just flowing down this road. This is flowing down, I think this is 8th Street right here. And so and then Mississippi's the cross street. And there's so much water that's coming. It's picking up the trash cans, throwing them over, and you're seeing trash just kind of in bags flow down the road. All this has got to go somewhere. And I know everything down here has been so saturated with, a lot of the streams are still pretty full. So this is going to make a tough situation even tougher down here with how much water has been kind of draining off. Back to you.
You're exactly right. These storms, I know we've had a lot of rain and we went about 2 weeks without any rain, but this storm is dropping a quick 1.5 inches of rain. And yeah, we got trash bags that are floating down the river, or floating down the street towards some river somewhere. That is a street, but it looks like a river right here. Just look at all that water. This coming in from Nick right now down in Ada. The heaviest of the rain, by the way, is now sliding out of Ada. So things should be improving here in the next little bit. You can see this storm right here, and by the way, it still has a bit of an inflow notch there, well pronounced. That's dropping down to the east-southeast and will continue to move out. Jonathan, let's show the big picture real quick before we send it over to NHL hockey playoffs for tonight. We're going to watch that big complex down to the south, and then we're going to watch these storms. They're still pretty far into the panhandle here, the Texas panhandle, and they're not severe out by Miami, Texas, Canadian Texas, but as they continue to move deeper into Oklahoma, they will likely become severe. And one thing I've noticed in the data is that there are at least some indications that storms may try to make a run down I-40 around midnight tonight and come towards the OKC Metro, and our crews will be out tracking it closely. We'll continue to update you throughout the evening. Keep it with KOCO 5 News. We'll bring you the first alert.